think the situation it's very uncertain at this point, but the votes for Mariannette Miller Meeks, my fellow congresswoman here from Iowa, were counted. They were recounted here in Iowa, and then they were certified by a bipartisan board here in Iowa. And I think the number one thing I've been hearing from my constituents and other Iowans is that they're just outraged that the Speaker Pelosi is moving forward at this point to try to overturn the will of Iowa voters and election results that were certified here by the state. And so what I did was I led a letter of over 100 of my House and Senate colleagues to the Speaker on behalf of Iowans and Americans who are angered by this. It's hypocritical of Nancy Pelosi to support an investigation into this free and fair election, while at the same time she's saying voter fraud doesn't exist across the country. So we're standing up. We don't believe 6 Democrats on the House Administration Committee should be able to overturn 6 votes that were cast by Iowans that were the deciding difference in this race.
The issue, from what I understand in this race, the Democrat who is challenging Mariannette Miller Meeks, Rita Hart, alleges that there were 22 ballots that should have been counted, and they weren't. If they had been, she would have won by 9 votes. Instead, she lost by 6, and so she's taking it to the House Administration Committee, and they say it's a lawful process for the House to review. Why can't she do that?
Well, I think it's very clear that these ballots didn't meet the muster of state law, and that's why they were not counted in the recount process. A judge ruled, as they were going through this whole recount process several months ago, that those did not meet the requirement. And I'm not exactly sure if every single one of them was the same in terms of the requirement, but, we have laws about when those ballots have to be received, how they have to be postmarked, and if ballots don't meet those requirements, then they're not counted or they're not a valid ballot. And so our bipartisan board, as I mentioned, in the state, certified that election after those recounts happened, and they determined that Mariannette won by 6 votes. So I think this is a terrible precedent to set, going around the will of Iowa voters and the court process here in Iowa and Iowa law. Ultimately, states have the purview over their elections, and at this point, I think, with so many questions about election integrity, how are people supposed to believe that their votes count in elections if whoever the majority party is in Congress can just overturn the results of elections that don't work out in their favor? And so that's why we're pushing this to make sure that they know that here in Iowa we run safe and secure elections, and our state has not indicated that it has questions about what happened in November. So this election was certified and it should stand, and Nancy Pelosi should not try to steal this seat.
Have you talked to any of the 10 Republicans in the House who voted to impeach President Trump for inciting the deadly Capitol attack, but have come out on your side on this issue and saying that they are being consistent, that they can't be opposed to what happened then and then before what's happening now?
Well, I think the impeachment vote is separate of what happened here with this certification of a state election. And I think I would point to, in general, at the start of session, every member, I believe, of Congress, maybe save one, voted to certify their own election to Congress. And so to me, the argument here is no matter whether it's Republicans or Democrats, it's hypocrisy to say that you certify your own election. Nancy Pelosi even sent a letter to Mariannette saying, congratulations on your election to Congress. Welcome to Congress. And so I think it's about the hypocrisy here, regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat. And we're starting to see Democrats come out and say that just because you can do this doesn't mean you should. And I do think, again, this is about hypocrisy and setting a terrible precedent.
Well, I guess to be devil's advocate, Democrats could say that Republicans tried to undo an electoral college certification, ballots that were certified by all 50 states, correct?
Well, I would say some probably did, but ultimately, when I look at, I've been remarkably consistent on this issue because I believe that we have to follow the Constitution. And that was true with the presidential election. That's true with this election. The state of Iowa counted, recounted, and certified these votes. And it's my job in Congress to make sure that we follow the Constitution, which allows states to have purview over their own elections.